Now, the Modi government's ambitious Central Vista project is slowly becoming a reality. In 3 days from now, the Prime Minister is expected to inaugurate the revamped Central Vista Avenue. And ahead of the big reveal, the centre today gave the public a peek into the new and improved version of the avenue. The 3-kilometre long stretch, starting from North and South Block to India Gate, includes the Rajpath, its adjoining lawns and canals, rows of trees, Vijay Chowk, and the India Gate Plaza. Now, this redone avenue will be more pedestrian-friendly, will have better connectivity, and just in case you were wondering what would happen to the iconic ice cream sellers, worry not, they have also been given a dedicated space. 6 new parking lots, amphitheatres, over 100 toilets, all to ensure a first-class experience for visitors. Perhaps it is these conveniences that have forced even the harshest of critics of the Vista to do a course correction. A case in point being Tavleen Singh, who while driving through the renovated stretch admitted that it has enhanced the beauty of this famous Delhi road. To put the turnaround in context, just about 8 months ago, she only saw mounds of debris scattered where there were manicured lawns and called upon the Modi government to stop the Vista redevelopment and use the money for health infrastructure instead. This change of heart about the Modi government's vision seems to go beyond Central Vista. Just yesterday, prominent columnist and economist Swaminathan Iyer wrote about how the critics of Sardar Sarovar project in Gujarat had been proven wrong by the benefits that it accrued. Iyer mentioned how critics like Medha Patkar had managed to mislead thousands of people and must apologize now for stalling a project that is benefiting millions. So the question now is this criticism of government and its policies born out of political compulsions? Is there a blind baiting of welfare policies without analyzing the merits? And will those people who stood in the way of changes, which may not be apparently visible straight away, now admit to their mistakes and their short-sightedness?
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Dr. Aprajita Sarangi, MP and National Spokesperson, joins us. Tushar Gupta, Senior Editor, Swaraj, continues with us, as does political analyst Tehseen Poonawala. But I'll start with Anurag Bhadoria, National Spokesperson, Samajwadi Party. Anurag ji, Central Vista, नर्मदा डैम सिर्फ 2 एग्जाम्पल्स हैं. पहले अपोज किया, अब एक्नॉलेज करेंगे कि सही थे?
देखिए, हम लोगों ने हमेशा से कहा है कि देश को जो पहले ज़रूरत है उसकी वो ज़रूरतें पूरी होनी चाहिए. जब ये सेंट्रल विस्टा प्रोजेक्ट की बात हो रही थी तो हमने कहा अभी राष्ट्रपति भवन है, ऐसा तो है नहीं कि राष्ट्रपति भवन ख़राब हो गया है या प्रधानमंत्री निवास ख़राब हो गया है या पार्लियामेंट जो हमारी है संसद वो ख़राब हो गई है. अभी सारी तो बिल्डिंगें अच्छी थी, बिल्डिंगों में कोई ख़राबी नहीं थी. तो अभी इतनी हड़बड़ी क्यों है जब देश मुसीबतों से गुजर रहा है, जब यहाँ पे अर्थव्यवस्था देश की अच्छी नहीं है, महंगाई बेरोज़गारी चरम सीमा पे है. तो अगर हम उन प्रोजेक्टों को रोक के अगर हम दूसरे जैसे हेल्थ व्यवस्था पे हम पैसे खर्च कर लेते, या जो देश के अंदर में युवा परेशान है उसको कैसे पैरों पे खड़ा किया जाए, कैसे उनके लिए उनकी मदद की जाएगी, इस पे हम बात कर लेते. कैसे यहाँ पे कोविड काल गुजर के गया, लोगों का रोज़गार गया, उनका दोबारा से उन लोगों को रोज़गार दिला के कैसे उनको उनके घरों के खर्चे चले, जिससे घरों में जो हर घर में जो टेंशन है वो ख़त्म हो. तो वो जिम्मेदारी बनती है. जैसे आप कोई घर होता है, घर में पहले
अनुराग जी, आपने इतनी सारी चीजें बोली, आपने एक सिंपल सवाल का जवाब नहीं दिया. डू यू थिंक द क्रिटिसिज्म ऑफ नर्मदा डैम एंड सेंट्रल विस्टा वाज मिसप्लेस्ड? और जहां तक कि आपका पहला आर्गुमेंट था कि राष्ट्रपति भवन में क्या खराबी है, उसको चेंज क्यों किया जा रहा है, ऐसा तो है नहीं कि आप गाड़ी तब बदलते हैं जब वो गाड़ी रुक जाती है एकदम, जब उसका इंजन या कार्बोरेटर निकल के सड़क पे गिर जाता है. आप नई गाड़ी लेते हैं ना? नहीं,
अभी पार्लियामेंट मुझे
या फिर पहले आप अकेली छोटी गाड़ी चलाते थे जब आप अकेले थे, जब आपके परिवार में 10 सदस्य होते तो आप थोड़ी बड़ी गाड़ी लेते हैं.
सुन तो लीजिए,
ऐसा तो है नहीं कि आप 10 सदस्यों को मारुति में डालते रहते हैं जब तक वो जल ना जाए पूरी गाड़ी.
पार्लियामेंट हो गया, आपकी बैटिंग हो गई तो मैं बोल लूं. मैंने कहा कि पार्लियामेंट अभी अच्छी खासी मजबूत है. आपको क्या लगता है राष्ट्रपति भवन खराब हो गया है क्या? मैं आपसे ही पूछता हूं, क्या राष्ट्रपति भवन अभी उस लायक नहीं है? क्या उसमें राष्ट्रपति जी रह पाए? क्या आपको लगता है नॉर्थ ब्लॉक साउथ ब्लॉक में कोई कमी आ गई है? क्या आपको लगता है कि जो पार्लियामेंट एनेक्सी अभी नई बनी थी, कोई पुरानी नहीं है पार्लियामेंट एनेक्सी?
आई एम श्योर अगर आप नॉर्थ ब्लॉक साउथ ब्लॉक जाते ही रहते होंगे,
या
अगर आप हाल फिलहाल में गए होंगे नॉर्थ ब्लॉक साउथ ब्लॉक तो आपके सवाल पूछते नहीं थे कि उसमें खराबी क्या है। वहां पे जो लोग काम करते हैं वो आपको बता देंगे क्या प्रॉब्लम है। सिमिलरली कृषि भवन में क्या प्रॉब्लम है वो भी आपको लोग बता देंगे। बट एनीवे दिस इज अ डिबेट ऑफ द पास्ट। एक आखिरी बार आपसे कोशिश करूंगी पूछने की, आपको लगता है, अब आप मानते हैं दैट क्रिटिसिज्म एंड अटेम्प्ट्स टू ब्लॉक नर्मदा डैम एंड सेंट्रल विस्टा वर रॉन्ग?
हमें लगता है कि सेंट्रल विस्टा में जितना पैसा खर्च किया गया, अगर पैसे को जिस समय देश कोविड काल से गुजर रहा था, देश को जरूरत थी कि आप हेल्थ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ज़्यादा डेवलप करते। इस पैसे से अगर हेल्थ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ज़्यादा डेवलप किया गया होता, इतनी शिद्दत से, जितनी शिद्दत से आपने ये बनाया विस्टा, तो आप शायद कोविड काल में इतने लोगों की मौतें नहीं होती।
वैसे शायद आपको पता नहीं होगा दैट इन द टाइम दैट सेंट्रल विस्टा वाज बीइंग बिल्ट, द आउटले फॉर वैक्सीन्स वाज इंक्रीज्ड. Along with that, additional money was also allocated to give free food grains to people during the time of COVID. तो वो अलग से allocation किया गया था, ये either और नहीं होता है. But anyway, answer that. Aprajita Sarangi, is the government today gloating? Because in retrospect, at least there's an acknowledgement. Aprajita Sarangi.
A very good evening. It has become a fashion with all these people to criticize each and every move of Prime Minister Modi and his team. Every initiative, every intention, every action of Prime Minister Modi and his team has to be criticized. Otherwise, they will not stay relevant. And this particular Central Vista project is definitely an example. I just want to say that all these doomsayers have been rebuffed again. Now, Medha Patkar, you remember the days when she used to sit for Narmada Bachao Andolan, and she had created an uproar in the country, and she had actually halted the progress of that major dam project. And now we are all well aware of the fact that the Narmada Dam has actually benefited millions of people. Through the irrigation facility and through the drinking water facility. Many tribals have also been benefiting. So I think these people must understand that this Central Vista project has been grounded with the noblest of intention. The entire area has to look beautiful. In 1911, Edwin Lutyens had designed this area, and now it's high time that we take into account the needs of the day and we give very good atmosphere, very positive surroundings to the people who work there, to the government servants also who work there. And that is why this is going to be called Kartavya Path. That is what it is being contemplated.
So, Tehseen Poonawala, if you look at the larger picture, you know, individually we have argued for each of these projects and what they bring to the table. We're not even going to go back on that debate on talk of how maintenance charges, maintenance expenditure, electricity charges in most of these bhavans was much less less return on investment. We are putting in far too much money. We're not getting enough returns. That's point number one. But look at the larger picture. Rafale acquisition, Central Vista construction, Narmada Dam that we spoke of earlier. Is this a symptom of what Mr. Jaitley used to call compulsive contrarians? You are like, okay, this government is doing it, we must oppose it. Let's oppose it and then we'll talk later. Tehseen Poonawala.
No, Padmaja. Let's separate the two, because Narmada is a very different issue from Central Vista and from Rafale. So, for example, in Rafale, like in Bofors, I think the BJP was horrendous. In fact, Mr. Jaitley himself went after Bofors, and the Delhi High Court came heavily down on him that, when they lost the cases in 4 international courts and 2 Indian courts, and spent 400 crores on a 60 crore corruption allegation. So that the BJP opposed the nuclear deal, the 123 agreement in cahoots with the left loonies, and I have no hesitation in calling the left loonies of our country. Narmada was a Congress project, which actually, if you go to history, the BJP opposed, then of course turned around, went along with the Narmada. They of course enhanced it. The Congress continued to support the BJP, and therefore my one advice, and I've said this publicly to both the national parties, the Congress and the BJP: first, if India has to progress, be away from the left loonies. don't make the mistake. The BJP aligned with the left in the 1 to 3 nuclear deal. They went along with the left to try and topple the Manmohan Singh government, and the BJP had its worst performance.
I think you might be speaking too soon, because some members of those who hobnob with the left loonies have just recently signed a letter in support of Bharat Jodo Yatra. But that's a conversation for another day. Don't be surprised if some of those loonies are going to be jodoing Bharat in the next few days. But go on.
I'm very critical of those loonies, including Yogendra Yadav, who has said, and I will not mince my words, that the Congress must die. So my advice to the Congress, which I love and I've always voted for, stay away from these loonies. They will only make the Congress irrelevant like they made the BJP irrelevant. A. B. I'll come to the Central Vista, which is a completely separate issue. In the Central Vista, while some of those issues do require renovation, including the Parliament, which was spoken about during the Congress time, some of these I feel are vanity projects. Some of them, for example, the new house of the Prime Minister, the new house of the Vice President, not the Rashtrapati Bhavan as alleged by the earlier spokesperson. They are vanity projects, but I think that now that the Central Vista has been constructed or is going on, now you go along with it. But some of it is a vanity project. Others of it could be economical projects.
Okay, so this was Tushar Gupta not being contrarian. This was just about putting a little red flag here and there just to keep the government in check. And Narmada, of course, is the Congress project.
But we should keep the government in check, shouldn't we, Padmaja?
No, of course you should. Of course you should. But there is a difference between keeping somebody in check and hounding somebody mindlessly. And I think it's not a thin line. It's a very, very wide line. It's almost a margin.
Just take 10 seconds, Tushar. So sorry.
No, but let Tushar have his say and then I'll come back to you. Tushar.
Just 2 seconds.
No, you never take 2 seconds. Tushar will have his 2 seconds and I'll come back to you. Yes.
Okay, give Tushar.
Padmaja, the problem is in India, all the activists, all the NGOs, all the Natak mandalis, their favorite time pass is to restrict each and every infrastructure project. Because a successful infrastructure project means good economy for the region, and a good economy for the region is less number of people to exploit, as Teesta Seetalwad used to, as Medha Patkar used to. So the favorite time pass of all these activists in India is to halt as many infrastructure projects as they can, be it a metro, be it a dam, be it a Central Vista. Now, Anurag Bhadoria here tells that the money that was being sent on Central Vista should have been allocated to the tension that the families were going through in COVID-19. I asked him, there were 1,200 crore rupees that were allocated in the last year's financial budget. This year it's 2,600 crore, total 4,000 crore approximately, give or take. Where would he want to rather put this money? Have the people that have been vaccinated any less than they should have been? Has there been less number of expenditure on healthcare? No. Does the Samajwadi have a plan on how that money should have been spent better, and where were the fault lines or where the gaps were that could have been covered? No. What they want to do is sit on every news show, every news debate and cry out how the Central Vista should not have been made. And I do not blame him, because the Samajwadi party does not have enough MPs to understand the shambles in which our current parliament is and how badly we need a new Central Vista. And you were right. Probably if he made a trip to the north or the south block, he would understand why we need a new office for a legislature, for an executive.
Okay. Mr. Bhadoria, I think it's only fair you get to respond.
देखिए, भारतीय जनता पार्टी का एक ही काम है, कैसे मार्केटिंग इवेंट किया जाए, कैसे वाहवाही लूटने की कोशिश की जाए। मैं पूछना चाहता हूं कि राजपथ का नाम अगर आप कहते उन्होंने क्या नाम दिया है,
अभी नया दिया, आपको याद नहीं होगा, कर्तव्य पथ।
अगर वो कर्तव्य पथ कर देंगे, सुन तो लीजिए, कर्तव्य पथ कर देंगे, तो क्या राजपथ का नाम कर्तव्य पथ हो जाने से देश के अंदर में जो महंगाई है कम हो जाएगी? मैं पूछना चाहता हूं, क्या बेरोजगारी एकदम खत्म हो जाएगी? क्या इलेक्ट्रिसिटी की सारी समस्या का समाधान हो जाएगा? क्या लोगों को पानी की सुविधाएं एकदम मिलने लगेंगी? हेल्थ व्यवस्था एकदम लोगों की ठीक हो जाएगी? चारों तरफ खुशहाली का माहौल आ जाएगा? मेरा सीधा सा सवाल है, अगर उसको कर्तव्य पथ कर देंगे, अगर ये करने से होता है तो आप कीजिए, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, लेकिन आपको सिर्फ अपना एक नाम देना है। राजपथ की जगह एक कर्तव्य पथ देने की बात है, सिर्फ देना ही है, नाम देना है, जिससे कि वाह भाई वो हमने एक नया नाम दिया। कि हमने कर्तव्य पत्र दिया जिससे कि काम करने की एक आप इंडिकेशन उसको इंडिकेट कर रहे हैं।
You're absolutely right. अनुराग जी, उससे ना महंगाई कम होगी ना उससे गरीबी चली जाएगी, पर उससे एक चीज जरूर होगी कि आप जो अपना क्रिटिसिज्म का कर्तव्य है वो पूरा करने के लिए आपको एक और टॉपिक जरूर मिल जाएगा, बिकॉज अब नर्मदा का टॉपिक खत्म हो गया है, सेंट्रल विस्टा का टॉपिक खत्म हो गया है, तो कम से कम कर्तव्य पथ will keep you in business for the next few days. I'm going to leave it at that because the next 3 days, you say the proof of the pudding is in the eating. The people of India will be actually able to judge whether this was a right decision to take or not. Sometimes we must be very critical when we hear of causes about how much we want to believe in those causes and how much it is just agenda. Thanks very much, all gentlemen. Aprajita Sarangi for joining me. Thanks for watching.